back to another U.S. immigration law video. In this video today, hopefully we can address some of the vast concerns that our Canadian clients have about coming to the United States under the current political climate, under Trump 2.0, with a lot of the stories, the horror stories that we're seeing in the media about individuals being detained, having their visas revoked or their green cards revoked. And hopefully in this video, we can put you at ease about these concerns that you have, valid concerns, because of what you're hearing and what you're seeing, so that you understand what is going on and how that might apply to you with your plans or potential plans to come to the United States, to work, to live, to visit your family members, to go to your properties you might own, your businesses. We want to make sure that you understand what is going on in this current climate and how that may or may not impact you as a Canadian trying to come to the United States. So first, the biggest question, as a Canadian, should you be afraid to travel to the United States right now under this current political climate? Well, if you are a Canadian and you have a valid Canadian passport, you are lawfully in the United States, maybe you have a green card, or a TN visa, an L1 visa, an E visa, whatever that visa is, and you have not violated immigration law, you have not violated your visa status, you have not violated any criminal laws, then no, you should not be afraid to travel. You should feel free to travel to the United States. Bring proof that you're maintaining your status, proof of where you're going, what you're doing. You're going to face standard questions at the border that you always have. They may apply a little bit more scrutiny because of what's going on to make sure that you are in compliance, that you are not doing anything you shouldn't be doing. But there is no blanket policy keeping Canadians out of the United States. There is no blanket policy targeting Canadians that are trying to come to live, to work in the United States lawfully and legally. If you have lawful status in the United States, a valid passport, you have not committed any criminal or immigration violations, then you should have no cause to worry when coming to the United States. Be truthful, have proof of where you're going, what you're doing, and you should feel free to travel to the United States without issue. Now, I'm going to go on to some questions that we've been receiving, and hopefully you can be put at ease as I address these questions and help you understand if you are in one of these situations, how it might impact you. Suppose you are in the United States, you have a valid visa, you have a green card, and you have a wedding that you want to attend outside of the United States. Maybe you're going to Jamaica for a wedding. Or suppose you have children and those children have a sporting event that's outside of the United States. Maybe they have a hockey tournament in Canada that you want to attend. Should you cancel these trips? Should you be afraid to leave the United States and have fear of returning? Or let's say you're in Canada and you have a trip that you want to attend in the United States. Maybe you're going to Disneyland. Maybe you're going to Florida, to your home in Florida, whatever it might be, just visiting family in the United States. Should you cancel these trips? Should you be afraid to go on these vacations or to do these trips? Well, if everyone that is traveling with you, and that's very important to understand, when you travel, make sure you know who you are traveling with and that everyone that you're traveling with has valid travel documents and does not have a criminal or immigration violation or history that would impact your or their ability to travel outside or back inside the United States. So as long as everybody has valid travel documents, you have a legitimate reason for coming to the U.S. or a legitimate reason that would take you outside of the U.S. and then return to the United States, you should travel without fear. Bring proof. Carry all the proper documentation with you. If you're a green card holder and it'll be an extensive stay outside of the United States, maybe 6 months or more, then you should probably consider getting a re-entry permit before coming back to the United States. So long vacations outside of the U.S., if you do have status in the U.S., you need to make sure you provide proof that you have not abandoned that status prior to returning. Otherwise, as long as you have valid documents, you should feel free to go on a business trip, a family trip, vacation, sporting event, whatever it might be, either inside or outside of the United States. Another question we receive all the time: if you are a green card holder or a visa holder, do you have to carry that visa or that green card on you at all times? The answer is yes. It is an actual immigration law that you have to carry proof of your legal status when inside the United States. So if you're a green card holder, you should have your green card on you. If you are here on a work visa, you should have your passport as well as your I-94 record of admission or your visa on you at all times. Some people don't want to carry that in day-to-day situations. They're afraid of losing those documents because they are very important documents. So at a minimum, we would suggest carrying copy and proof of those documents with you in case you are questioned, so that you can present these documents to those that are questioning you to prove that you have valid status in the United States. Now, if you're a green card holder, another thing to understand is if you are traveling back to the United States after foreign travel, you are required to use that green card when traveling back to the United States. So make sure you carry proof of your immigration status on you at all times. This isn't new. This has always been a law. So, it is in the media a lot right now, but it's always been the law. It's always been a law to carry proof of your legal status in the United States with you at all times. Another question. I'm on a valid TN visa. I'm flying back to the United States from Toronto. Is there a risk of detention? The answer is no. If you're on a valid TN visa, you're currently employed with that employer, you are working in the position that you are authorized to work for under that TN, you have not committed any criminal or immigration violations, then there's no reason to be fearful of coming back to the United States, and there's no realistic fear of detention either. Again, carry proof of all your documents with you. You can carry a current employer letter showing that you are still actively employed, or your current pay statements. Be polite, ask any questions, answer any questions you're asked. But there is no current policy targeting Canadians on TN visas. If you're on a valid TN visa, you should be able to travel without fear. Another question, do Canadians have to register with immigration? So if you are Canadian and you have been paying attention, you are aware that the Trump administration is enforcing a long-standing registration requirement. So in general, Canadians are not targeted for registration. There is no policy just targeting Canadians and making them register when they're in the United States. This is a general policy for anyone visiting the United States. If you come to the United States and you will be here for 30 days or more, and you were not issued a I-94 record of admission, you do not have a green card, you do not have a visa, then you will be required to complete what is called G325R, alien registration, documenting your visit to the United States to make sure that you are compliant with your stay in the United States and you do not overstay or do something that you're not authorized to do during your visit to the United States. So there is no specific policy targeting Canadians directly to register. However, Canadians do need to comply with this registration requirement if you will be in the United States for 30 days or more, and that's consecutive days. If you leave and come back and each day is less than 30 days, then that registration requirement doesn't apply to you. Also, should you check your I-94 history? And that's your record of admission to the United States. The answer to this is an absolute yes. Make sure anytime you're coming to the United States that you use your passport and go to CBP's I-94 website to make sure that your last entry to the United States was recorded properly. And also to make sure you understand when your last legal day to be in the United States is, so that you can either change your status, extend your status, or depart the United States before that status expires. It's your responsibility to check that I-94, make sure you are admitted to the United States properly, and that you understand when you need to depart the United States. How about if you own property in the United States? Maybe you have a vacation home in Florida. Is there something you should be worried about? Well, no. If you're a Canadian, a foreign national, you can legally own property in the United States. That's completely legal. Again, make sure that you are coming on a valid travel document when you're coming to your property. If you're coming as a visitor, make sure you're not staying longer than 180 days in a calendar year, right? That you're not overstaying your visa in the United States, that you're registering if that stays over 30 days and you were not issued a 994, and you have valid status to do what you're doing. As long as you do that, you can still own your properties, your businesses in the United States, travel back and forth according to your passport or your visa status. And you should be able to do that freely without any fear. And this is, again, comes from media stories. People are asking, should we just stop driving across the border, or should we use a burner phone and not use our standard devices, or is it safer to fly? Well, the short answer is flying or driving, you still go through CBP. It's not like you're getting less attention if you drive and more attention if you fly. They follow the same entry procedures through CBP, whether you're flying or driving. You're going to face the same types of questions. They're going to verify, why are you coming? How long are you going to be here? Are you working? Are you visiting? The same standard questions that you always are asked when you're coming to the United States as a visitor. So the answer to flying or driving, is it's one or the other safer? No, not necessarily. Now, when you do drive, however, you have a vehicle, so your chance of overstaying can be perceived as a higher possibility because you have your vehicle with you, whereas flying, you typically have a return flight, so it raises less suspicion about how long you're going to be staying in the United States. Now, to the burner phone issue, we do not recommend that. Why would you have a burner phone? Burner phone, in my opinion, signals an issue. What are you trying to hide? So rather than a burner phone, if there is something that you do not want to be searched or subject to search at a port of entry, don't bring it with you. If you have a work computer and maybe you have confidential documents or whatever on there, then have the documents in the cloud and access those through the cloud. Don't have those types of sensitive documents available on you if you're not comfortable with having them searched. But don't take any extreme actions like wiping out your devices or getting a burner phone. That raises suspicion. CBP is aware of all of these techniques. And if they see you doing those types of things, they could just ban your entry because you're under suspicion of criminal activity or doing something unlawful. And you don't want to jeopardize your ability to come to the United States by doing something drastic like that. So that's not something we would recommend. I would say that's considered very extreme. Again, they can search your person, they can search your belongings, they can search your devices. So just make sure that what is on there is something you're comfortable with having them have access to if that happens. And the media wants you to believe that happens all the time. No, it does not. I can count on one hand how many times I've had clients in decades subject to that type of search. And when they go to that point, they usually have a reasonable suspicion that you're committing some sort of an immigration or criminal violation. Typically, they're not going to subject you to that level of search unless they have a suspicion of some unlawful activity. Is there anything you should do to protect yourself and your family when traveling to the United States? Well, not necessarily to protect you, but you should make sure you have the proper documentation with you. Check your I-94 history, as I previously mentioned. Make sure you have your green card, your visa documents, your passport, your proof of status in the United States. Make sure you comply with your visa status in the US. Make sure you do not commit any criminal or immigration violations. If you do have concerns about your travel, maybe you have questions about whether you maintained your visa in the United States. Maybe you do have a criminal violation or immigration violation, and it does cause concern for your travel. At that point, you should seek legal advice to make sure that what is going on in your situation or in your history does not impact your ability to travel to the United States. The truth is, right now, the political atmosphere is very tense. It's at an all-time high. And people are legitimately nervous about traveling to the United States. But don't let that fear impact you unnecessarily. If you are traveling to the United States for a legitimate purpose, if you're following the law, you have the right documents to do what you want to do in the United States, the proper visa status, then you should be able to travel to the United States without fear, as long as you're complying with all immigration and criminal laws. If you have any questions about coming to work or live in the United States and have questions about your status and whether or not you are complying with those regulations, feel free to give us a call. We deal with Canadians working and living in the United States on a daily basis. That's what we do. Thank you for watching and have a great day.